The CEO of NC Soft, the publisher behind Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, just stepped into one of the biggest conversations happening in the gaming industry right now, and what he said cuts straight through a lot of the hype surrounding AI. At a time when it feels like every headline is telling us artificial intelligence is about to reshape or outright replace game development as we know it, his stance is surprisingly grounded. AI cannot replicate what makes games instinctively fun, and that statement might be more important than it sounds at first. Because when people talk about AI in gaming, the conversation usually revolves around efficiency, faster development cycles, reduced costs, automated systems, procedural content, and massive scalability. On paper, that all sounds like a win. Publishers save money, teams can produce more content, and theoretically, players get more games more often. But what often gets lost in that conversation is the core reason people play games in the first place. Not for efficiency, not for optimization, but for experience. For that feeling that keeps you engaged for hours without even realizing it. And that's where this idea of instinctively fun becomes critical. Fun in games is not a formula, even though the industry has spent decades trying to reverse engineer it into one. It's not just progression systems, reward loops, or engagement metrics. Those things support fun, but they don't create it on their own. Real fun comes from a combination of design choices that feel right, often in ways that can't be fully explained. The weight of a jump, the responsiveness of controls, the pacing of a level, the timing of a reward. These are things developers iterate on not just through data, but through feel, through playing, adjusting, and trusting their instincts. And that's something AI, at least in its current form, simply doesn't possess. AI doesn't have intuition, it doesn't have taste, it doesn't get bored, and it doesn't get excited. It can analyze millions of data points about player behavior, but it doesn't actually understand why something is enjoyable on a human level. It can tell you that players spend more time in a certain activity or that a specific mechanic increases retention, but it can't tell you if that activity is genuinely fun or just compulsively engaging. And there's a huge difference between those two things, even if they look similar in a data set. That distinction matters more now than ever because the industry is already walking a fine line between engagement and exploitation. We've seen systems designed to maximize playtime rather than enjoyment. We've seen mechanics that keep players hooked without necessarily making them happy. If AI is used purely to optimize those metrics without human oversight grounded in actual player experience, it risks pushing games further in that direction. More efficient? Sure, but also more hollow. And that's exactly why this statement from NC's soft leadership carries weight. It's an acknowledgement that no matter how advanced AI becomes, there's still a human element at the core of game design that can't be automated away. At least not without losing something essential. Because when you remove that human instinct, that ability to say this feels right or this isn't working without needing a spreadsheet to justify it, you risk creating games that are technically impressive but emotionally flat. Now, that doesn't mean AI doesn't have a place in development. It absolutely does, and it's already being integrated in meaningful ways. From generating assets and assisting with animation to helping write placeholder dialogue and speeding up QA testing, AI can take a lot of the repetitive workload off developers' shoulders, and that's a good thing. It allows teams to focus more on creativity, on refinement, on the parts of development that actually benefit from human input. But the key word there is assist, not replace. The concern, and it's a one a lot of developers and players share, is that publishers might see AI as an opportunity to cut corners, to reduce team sizes, to speed up production at the expense of polish, and to rely on automated systems to fill in the gaps. And if that happens, we could end up with games that are bigger, faster, and cheaper to produce, but ultimately less meaningful to play. What makes games like Guild Wars 2 endure isn't just content volume or system complexity. It's the way those elements come together to create an experience that resonates with players over time. That requires ongoing human decision making. It requires understanding a community, responding to feedback, and sometimes making changes that don't make sense on paper but feel right in practice. That's not something AI can replicate in a meaningful way, at least not without fundamentally changing what games are. And that brings us to the bigger picture. This isn't just about one CEO's opinion. It's about the direction the industry chooses to take as AI continues to evolve. Do we use it as a tool to enhance creativity or as a shortcut to replace it? Do we prioritize player experience or do we chase metrics at all cost? Because those decisions are going to shape the kinds of games we get in the next 5 to 10 years. There's also a broader philosophical question here. Can something be truly creative without human experience behind it? Can a system that doesn't feel joy, frustration, or curiosity create something that authentically resonates with those emotions? Maybe someday AI will get closer to simulating that, but right now it's still fundamentally reactive. It builds on existing data, it mirrors patterns, it doesn't originate ideas in the same way humans do. And in a medium like gaming, where interactivity, emotion, and immersion are everything, that difference matters. So while AI will absolutely continue to shape how games are made, this serves as a reminder that it shouldn't define why they're made or how they feel to play. Because at the end of the day, players don't remember how efficiently a game was developed. They remember how it made them feel. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think AI will eventually reach a point where it can truly understand what makes games fun? Or do you think that human instinct is something that can never be fully replicated? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. If you want to go even deeper, check out my Patreon. The latest exclusive video is a breakdown of why games keep launching broken and why no one seems to stop it. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, game on.